The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Mark Manson is a rebel in his genre. A complete standout self-help book among many, Manson's refreshing, straightforward, and realistic wisdom will not coddle or baby you. This striking book cuts directly to the point, pushing aside all the cushy tips that have left many indifferent towards life with a smile painted across their faces. This self-book will give you the reality check you didn't know you needed, in a society that thinks the journey towards happiness is paved by compliments and positivity. If you want to discover more about the book and its invigorating truths, don't hesitate to check out the link for its sell page in the description of this video. Be sure to check out our animated book summary series for the chance to watch the stories of your favorite books unfold on screen. Stick around until the end of the video to find out the heartwarming underlying sentiment of this book that'll leave you wanting more. A 2016 book will be summarized according to its chapters. Naturally, beginning with the first one, which is completely counterintuitively named Don't Try. Manson starts off the book by relating the story of the famous American author Charles Bukowski. Before achieving fame, Bukowski was a semi-alcoholic gambler who was rejected by every single publisher he went to. It wasn't until the age of 50 that an editor accepted to work with him. Most authors with such a life story would have faded into oblivion, but Bukowski had something that called to the public. Most people marked it off as an inspiration, a success story, the American dream. Bukowski knew the reality of his situation though. He knew he wasn't some savvy bestseller just because people liked his books. In his mind, he was still a loser, and that's completely fine. It is in fact exactly why people were and are still drawn to his books. His complete self-acceptance. His unflinching ability to accept his reality as it is and live with it. Written on Bukowski's gravestone is the epitaph, "Don't Try." Manson contrasts Bukowski's mindset with the mindset of today's society, where achieving the unrealistic positive set expectations of being happier, be richer, be healthier, and own nicer things. Manson claims that all these expectations do is bring us down and point out our personal shortcomings in life, making us feel like we will never be enough. Manson ties up the chapter with his first lesson. Society wants you to care about everything, all of the time. But by only caring about the things that are important, you will be much more content in life. Giving a damn about what is true, immediate, and important in your life is more important than reaching these unrealistic expectations. Chapter 2. Happiness is a Problem. Manson covers the topic of how harmful the idea of unbridled happiness is to society, by reflecting on the fact that humans are naturally supposed to be of a slightly unhappy and insecure disposition. Current self-help books and trends are constantly trying to combat these feelings. This doesn't achieve anything. Ignoring these emotions is tantamount towards failure and pointless contentment. Manson notes that these base negative emotions are evolutionary and are there to naturally push us forward in life, achieving true success. Those who deny this reality can often turn to harmful highs in order to counteract the negative emotions. Manson states that this achieves nothing, and further feeds back into the loop of sadness and despair. Throughout the chapter, Manson encourages you to accept reality as it is. Take responsibility for your emotions and accept that achieving true happiness requires that you struggle day to day. Chapter 3. You are not special. The chapter begins with Manson relating a study that took place in the late 60s. The study correlated a good self-image with better accomplishments in life. Policymakers and researchers began to enact policies of participation prizes and the likes to make everyone feel special and successful. Manson's claim is that all these actions achieved was a society of entitled people who expected everything to go right for them all the time. This attitude is only spurred on by the continual bombardment of people with images and ideas of a perfect life that is barely attainable. All of these make for a cocktail of disaster and failure. No one is accepting reality as it is, and using their problems as stepping stones toward success. Manson ties up the chapter by writing that it is the constant need to improve that creates successful people, not unwarranted high self-esteem. Chapter 4. The Value of Suffering. This chapter is focused on self-realization. Manson encourages you to take a look into why you feel the way you do, and notes that this could take many painful years. Manson relates your deepest emotions to your values, and notes that values are essential towards achieving contentment. Values such as always being right and constantly chasing empty pleasure are considered to be bad values. Good values are considered to be reality-based, internally achieved, and socially constructive. Manson believes that changing your values for the better will help the way you deal with your problems. Chapter 5. You are always choosing. Manson elaborates on this idea that how you deal with a problem changes depending on whether you feel like you choose to have it or not. You are not always responsible for our circumstances, but we can control how we feel about them. Taking responsibility for the circumstances that are thrust upon us and dealing with them effectively is tantamount towards being a successful person. Change is as easy as making a choice. By choosing to care about something else, you can thus change the direction of your life for the better. Chapter 6. You are wrong about everything. But so am I. Manson believes that life and happiness can be related to the scientific method, with values being hypotheses, actions being experiments, and actions being the data. We should thus make smart decisions upon the results we obtain and not fear doubt or uncertainty. Uncertainty is a vital rung in the ladder toward success, and we should not fear it. In this chapter, Manson encourages to let go of previous held ideas, encourages you to doubt yourself and question your actions. Creating new pathways for yourself, realizing you can't always be right, and doing regular self-reflection is vital towards continuing forward. Chapter 7. Failure is the way forward. Another aspect of life that Manson believes to be essential for progress in life is failure. Manson states that improvement in anything is based on thousands of many failures. We become confined, conserved, and stagnant in our lives if we are afraid to fail. Feeling like a failure after having tried something does not mean you should stop. It simply means that you should try again. Most of the positive change that occurs in our life comes from existential crisis brought on by personal tragedies. We are enabled by these tragedies to take an objective look at our lives, values, outlooks, and where we are going, thus allowing us to change for the better. Learning to persevere through the constant pain of failure, which we will inevitably suffer if we want to achieve anything, and take the necessary actions to overcome this problem, are the take-home message of this chapter. Bottom line is that you must find the motivation to do something, and if you can't find the motivation, then you simply do the action anyways. Chapter 8. The importance of saying no. In order to truly stand for one thing, you must first reject another thing. Being perpetually accepting and open towards everything that is thrown at you is simply the act of being indifferent and impartial to life. While this attitude is constantly encouraged by society, we must sit back and think if it's really helping us to progress or just make us feel temporarily better. You must not be afraid to make choices and fully dedicate yourself to something such as a career, relationship, or hobby. There is a certain joy to be derived from this consistent commitment. The importance of health, love, and relationships is also spoken of in this chapter. The importance of boundaries, trust, and commitment are all talked upon in depth. Chapter 9. And then you die. After seemingly endless, hard-hitting, sometimes painfully realistic, but life-changing advice, the book ends on a positive note by talking about death. You might think that any talk of death could hardly be positive, but Manson shows us just how amazing we really are for facing death every day and still choosing to fight on. Due to naturally fearing death as humans, we tend to make our decisions around it. We wish to be remembered for eternity. Though we know our physical bodies will die, we are constantly striving towards leaving an immortal lasting memory of ourselves. Manson notes how brave it is to make this decision every day, and the fact that you are deciding what and what not to care about besides the inevitability of death is something you should be proud of. The moral of the book is that whatever life throws at you, you need to make sure of and then throw something back harder. Don't just catch what is thrown and accept it, letting it weigh you down. Essentially, when life gives you lemonade, stomach them, bear the bitterness, and persevere despite it. If you like this short summary, be sure to check out the variety of book summaries on this channel. Check back in for a new summary or informational video every week. Tell us in the comments, what is your favorite book? Can't get enough of reading? Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/readandgrow1, and also on Twitter at twitter.com/readandgrow1.